Bishop Oyedepo, in his book, in The Mental Exploits, he talks about in one segment of it, he says that often as Christians, we want to elevate the importance of our spirit, and we devalue the importance of our soul or our mind. And he says in that book, he says they are on the same field. They are on the same level of importance. Let it soak in. Let it soak in. Because, look, I'm one of those. I was taught, look, I'm born again. I understand the power of the new birth and what happens when my spirit man is born again. But I'm here to tell you tonight something that you need to hear. Right along with the new birth and the change that took place in that moment, something as powerful took place in your mind, everybody. Just as powerful. That moment when you were born again. Because I want you to go back to Genesis. God breathed into Adam, and Adam became this living, God-breathed mind. And I want you to think a moment, what did Adam accomplish? He named, it says, every single creature he knew and named. Do you ever think about the fact that there was an ocean at that time? And do you realize that there were animals way deep in the ocean? How did he name them? Did you ever think about that? How did he name them? How is it that he was able to mentally assess and know that these were creatures way down in the deepest parts of the ocean, and he named them? This is how powerful this God-breathed mind was. There were no limitations. One time I was praying, and in a specific area, there was we had lost somebody in my family many, many, many years ago. And I always had a habit of praying through each of my family members. And when this family member passed on, you don't pray for dead people, right? So instead, I found myself, when I got to that person in my family, I would just say, hey, Lord, would you mind telling so-and-so hello for me? That makes sense, right, Pastor? He's there with God, so God could turn around and say, hey, Bill said say hi, right? There's no theological problem with that, right? And so I began to do that, right? And I remember one time I did that, and it was the Lord appeared, just this vision. He appeared to me in that second. He goes, Bill, before you finish praying, I want to show you one thing in heaven. Now, this is happening all in my spirit. And I was like, cool, because I've heard of like people going to heaven and seeing these great things, right? And I never seen that. And he said, Bill, I'm going to just show you one thing. And I was like, cool, all right, let's go. And we just like that, we were above one of the most beautiful lakes you could literally ever imagine. It was the most beautiful blue crystal lake, massive, and we were standing above it in a blink. We were standing above it, right? And he said, pick a depth. So instantly, I picked 30.2 feet. Don't ask me why. I can't tell you why I picked that, but instantly I picked 30.2 feet, and the millisecond I thought it, I could see down 30.2 feet, and I saw the most beautiful fish swimming around at 30.2 feet while I was standing above the water. Come on, everybody. When it says that eye has not seen, nor ear has heard, nor entered into the heart of man the things he has in store for us, oh, look out, right? That was a glimpse. It was just a glimpse. But imagine Adam with no limitations. He was breathed in. He was a living soul. God breathed in mind, will, and emotions, was able to think clearly, calibrate, see things, know things, unlimited. That was the God breathed in mind that he received. But then what happened? What happened? Somebody said it. You guys can talk real loud to me. What happened? Sin. Okay? Sin happened. You know, there was never a carnal mind. There was never a carnal thought until that moment when sin entered in. And when sin entered in, the fall happened, and then carnality in the mind began to take place. The carnal mind was never around. I want you to go with me to Romans chapter 8. We're going to read verses 5 through 7. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh. And those who live according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death. Everybody say, carnally minded equals death. Say it again, carnally minded equals death. To be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Where does God's intended life for us come about? By being spiritually minded. Now, I'm going to unveil or unravel a little bit of the mystique around this, right? Because I grew up, I've told you all before, I grew up holiness Pentecostal, right? I learned a lot about the Holy Spirit, but there was this long list of things you just don't do, including bowling and going to movies and swimming and stuff that I just like, who sat around and made up this list, right? Okay, it was just this long list of things you couldn't do, and then there was a little itty-bitty thing for the list of things you could do, right? And it was called being holy, okay? And so when you start talking about being carnally minded, right? Well, carnally minded was going bowling, and it was going to the movies, and it was going dancing, right? And a lot of times, some of you are smiling more than others because you've been there with me, right? There was this long list of what carnally minded was. But I want to break this definition and make it a little simpler. The word carnal just means physically minded. It's this fleshly mind contrary to the mind that God has for us. That's pretty much it. So when my mind is in fear, I'm being carnally minded. We have a list, right, of the big sins versus the not so big sins, right? So when we start thinking carnally minded, we start thinking bad sexual stuff and going out partying, going crazy, all of that stuff, right? When the Bible talks about in Revelations the first of those that are thrown into the lake of fire, who does he list first? The fearful. Thank you. The fearful. Isn't that something? We have this list of, whoa, way up here, the really, really bad stuff. So carnally minded is me thinking of these totally really bad sin stuff, right? That's not really what it is. It's really allowing my mind to think contrary to the way God thinks. So when God says, I'm for you, who can be against you? And you are fearful and worried, right? Your mind is being carnal. Everybody with me? Simple enough, right? So it's not this elaborate list of really bad things, right? And then when we start thinking about spiritually minded, we start thinking of cherubs, floating into heaven and when playing the little harps and like all the angels and all of that type of stuff. And so we think spiritually minded is when I'm at church and I'm thinking about the Bible and maybe I'm speaking in tongues and I'm in this uli land. I just made that up, by the way, right? Right? It's not. See, Kenneth Copeland says this, and I love this expression. I love this saying. Jesus did not come for the sweet by and by. He came for the nasty now and now. Don't you love that? Oh, I love that one, right? He didn't come for some sweet by and little angels playing harps and some spiritual thing. No, he came in power. He came in might. He came for right now. So to be spiritually minded is not this way out there mystic type idea. You know what it is? It's right now thinking what it is that God thinks. My thoughts are lined up with his thoughts. Do you see that? Yes or no? It's not some way out there idea. It is a powerful idea that is to go with us every single day.